The greatest myth in the WNBA dump has officially been exposed. The myth of all myths, the deception of deception. For the better part of 2 years, maybe even 3 years, the mainstream media has been trying to convince us that Angel Reese is a huge star.
The illusion has officially cracked wide open. For years, fans were sold a dream that one player was destined to carry the league into a new golden age. That player, Angel Reese. She was crowned the new face of the WNBA before her professional sneakers even hit the court. But reality just struck, and the scoreboard doesn't lie. Despite the relentless media campaigns, the glossy magazine spreads, and the nonstop features across every social feed, she couldn't even break into the top 10 of the All-Star fan vote. That's not a snub, that's a statement. Shooting just over 30% from the floor, Angel has turned herself into the most over-promoted, underproducing player in recent memory. Visibility doesn't always mean viability.
Second straight year that Clark has led the fan voting. She was second in early returns in fan voting in 2024, but jumped to first with around 700,000 total votes by the end of the period. So I'm wondering, are we going to see 1 million votes this time? Because I saw somebody earlier that said, so far, voting is actually way up versus exactly where we was at this time last year.
Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark isn't just showing up, she's taking over, leading the voting by a landslide with well over 500,000 ballots cast in her name. She's proving that fans still value substance over noise. It's not even close. Clark isn't riding a wave of hype. She's surfing on buckets, efficiency, and wins. It's the second straight year she's dominating the polls, and if early returns are any indication, we may see her shatter another voting record. Fans are voting in record numbers, and they're not buying the narrative the media keeps spinning. And that's where this entire facade begins to unravel. If Angel is the icon we're all supposed to rally behind, why aren't fans casting their votes in her favor? She's everywhere. Billboards, interviews, commercials, podcasts.
Some in the media even do investigative journalism and claim that Angel Reese is the face of the WNBA because she leads the league in followers on social media, along with missed layups and a complete lack of athleticism.
But what she's not doing is filling up the box score in a way that matters. She's become a walking paradox, a household name with a forgettable stat line. Angel has triple the exposure, but 1/3 the votes. It's not just a bad look, it's a brutal truth. While she garners headlines for her branding, Caitlin Clark is rewriting records and changing the game in real time. People aren't tuning in for catchy quotes. They're watching for game-winning shots and transcendent performances. And Caitlin keeps delivering those moments, night after night. Even lesser-known players are pulling ahead. There's Sophie Cunningham reportedly moving jerseys in bulk, Kiki Iriafen putting up real numbers and winning over fans, and other young standouts climbing the ranks without needing a full-blown marketing machine behind them. Their games speak louder than any commercial could.
She has energy, she has an attitude, she'll rebound you the basketball. Great. Nothing else. She has not, she's got self-awareness. She knows that she's not a very good basketball player.
The media has played its part in inflating Angel's image. Headlines painted her as the engine of WNBA growth. They overlooked actual impact players, pretending hype was equal to production. But fans have drawn a line. They're not voting based on who appears most often in their feeds. They're voting for who leaves it all on the court. Clark has fans. Angel has followers. And that difference couldn't be more apparent. Clark's fans show up with votes. They fill arenas. They drive engagement. Meanwhile, much of Reese's following seems more interested in her image than her gameplay. And when tickets go unsold and streams go unwatched, that kind of fan base reveals its limits.
Well, the first returns are coming in on the WNBA All-Star voting. Of course, it will be in Indianapolis. And as you can imagine, Caitlin Clark is leading the All-Star vote. By the way, It looks like a massive turnout.
When the All-Star ballots dropped, Reese was supposed to rise. Instead, she sank, landing at a sobering 13th place. Players like Jonquel Jones and Aaliyah Boston are outperforming her in nearly every metric. That isn't an oversight. That's fans saying they see through the smoke. Reese's media exposure created an expectation that never aligned with what happened on the floor. She's rebounding, sure, but a deeper dive into those numbers shows many of them come from her own missed shots. They aren't game-changing plays, they're recovery missions. And in a league striving for global recognition, that won't cut it. Her limited versatility is holding her back, while the best in the league are showcasing a full toolkit scoring.
Of course, the vast majority of her followers are bots and lonely men, most of which are not buying tickets or watching her games on television because they can't afford the 5 pesos a month to watch the Chicago Bravado on WNBA League Pass.
Passing defending Angel is bringing only hustle and headlines. And let's be real, hustle alone isn't enough anymore. The modern game demands players who contribute across every category, and rookies are stepping up and doing just that. Caitlin Clark has earned her crown. She didn't have to proclaim herself the reason people watch. She simply showed it, and the fans rewarded her accordingly. She doesn't chase the spotlight. She earns it with buzzer beaters, poise, and playmaking. While Reese continues to repeat that she's the face of the league, fans are looking elsewhere at players who actually perform. Clark isn't just relatable, she's dependable. That's what creates lasting fan bases. That's what transforms doubters into diehards.
There's a supposed, people keep telling me, supposed second most popular player in the league that doesn't look like the second most popular player at all.
And every time she touches the court, she proves it again. Angel Reese, for all her press and polish, is still stuck in preseason mode. Loud, but inefficient. Determined, but ineffective. If you want to be a star, you've got to shine on the court, not just on a podcast. Confidence without execution only takes you so far. And in Angel's case, it hasn't taken her into all-star territory. Voters made their voices heard. They saw the commercials, the interviews, the highlight packages. Then they looked at the numbers and chose not to vote. The message was loud and clear. We're not buying what the media is selling. We want results, not resumes. Her rebounding dominance doesn't make up for her offensive shortcomings. And in a position where efficiency should be automatic, missing easy buckets isn't just disappointing, it's disqualifying.
And in fact, a rookie I have been touting that is playing better than Angel Reese, Kiki Arifin. Well, basketball fans are showing up, and they have got her voted ahead of Angel right now. Angel is not in the top 10.
Especially when others are out there dropping double-doubles with a fraction of the hype. This league is evolving. The fan base is smarter. They're watching closely and demanding more. The WNBA is no longer about potential. It's about production. Fans aren't interested in a brand mascot. They want a basketball player who can change the course of a game, not just a conversation. Being marketable is great, but being unguardable is better. And right now, Reese isn't either. You can't talk your way into being an all-star. You've got to earn it. And while Angel might have the attitude, she doesn't yet have the arsenal. The real revelation is in the numbers. Clark pulling over 516,000 votes to Reese's 173,000 isn't just a gap, it's a canyon. That kind of disparity exposes a deeper truth.
There is obviously no way Angel can compare to Caitlin Clark as a shooter or a passer. And there is no way Angel can live up to her dynamic social media / podcast presence as a shooter or a passer or even a shot blocker. She's blocked only 2 shots so far this season. She doesn't even do that.
One player is building a legacy, while the other is still learning how to play the game at this level. Reese's supporters have to face facts. The game isn't played on social media, it's played between the lines. And if Reese wants to be seen as more than a media experiment, she has to start producing like one of the league's best, not just looking like one. Consistency, efficiency, leadership, that's what all-stars are made of, not media narratives or self-proclaimed titles. And when the fans had the power to vote, they looked beyond the branding and asked the only question that mattered: who's actually winning games? The results speak volumes. Reese is 13th, and that's not an injustice, it's a correction. The WNBA doesn't need another billboard, it needs ballers, people who put in the work, show up when it counts, and don't rely on slogans to stay relevant. Angel's moment of reckoning has arrived. If she truly wants to lead the league, she'll need more than clever captions and sideline swagger. She'll need buckets. She'll need consistency. She'll need to actually win over the fans, not just the front page. And here's the kicker. Even the fan base she supposedly leads didn't show up. That says it all. If you can't get your own fans to vote for you, how can you call yourself the face of the league? All-star status isn't handed out with hashtags. It's earned with hustle and made permanent through performance. This isn't a cancellation. It's a call-up. A message to every player hoping to ride hype instead of hard work. The All-Star vote wasn't just a popularity contest. It was a performance review. And Angel Reese just got passed over. Time to go back to the basics. Time to put in the work. Because right now, the scoreboard, the stat sheet, and the fans all agree. You're not there yet, but the path is still open. The only question is, are you willing to take it? For the better part of the last few years, sports media outlets crafted a fairy tale around Angel Reese. She wasn't just a player they told us she was the moment. Endorsements, headlines, press appearances, all revolving around the idea that Reese had somehow become the driving force behind women's basketball's meteoric rise. But as the All-Star voting results rolled in, that carefully painted portrait began to fade. Despite all the billboards and magazine covers, the numbers spoke clearly. Reese didn't just fall short, she didn't even make the top 10. It was a dramatic unraveling of a myth that many were hesitant to challenge. Shooting under 31% from the field, her stat line hardly resembled that of an elite player, and the fans weren't buying the narrative anymore. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark was doing what she always does, dominating. With over 500,000 votes, she lapped Reese several times over. While Reese was being hailed as a media darling, Clark was letting her performance do the talking. It was Clark's name leading the ballots, Clark filling arenas, Clark rewriting what the WNBA spotlight really meant. You can't walk a block or scroll your feed without seeing Angel Reese's face. She's become the most visible, inefficient shooter the league has seen in years. Her scoring troubles, missed layups, and inconsistent floor presence don't exactly scream all-star, but somehow, through force of branding alone, she was placed on a pedestal. Still, visibility isn't impact. Fans, it seems, are smart. They're not buying jerseys just because they saw a commercial. They're tuning in for the players who back up the headlines with highlights, and they made that loud and clear. Clark's voting surge wasn't just predictable, it was a message, a response to the media's misfire. Reese had her moment in the press. She sat in the interviews, posed for the cameras, and insisted she was the reason people were watching. But when directly asked to reflect on her past statements about being the league's driving force, she declined to even answer. That silence spoke volumes. On the flip side, Clark's resume continues to grow. She doesn't just show up, she shows out. She doesn't chase headlines, she earns them. The fans noticed, and so did the numbers. There's a clear difference between someone who wants to be the face of the league and someone who actually is. Other rookies like Kiki Ariafen, who deliver consistent performances, are quickly overtaking Reese. Her position in the rankings reflects a bigger issue. For all the talk about her charisma and social media fame, the fans still voted based on gameplay, not branding. The league pushed Reese hard clips, campaigns, social posts, but when it came time to vote, the audience wasn't fooled. Highlight reels are nice, but they don't substitute for real impact. You can't score points with personality alone. Rebounding is important, but when it's paired with inefficient shooting and little defensive presence, it rings hollow. Many of Reese's supporters pointed to her hustle and effort. And sure, she brings energy, fights for boards, and shows passion. But in today's league, that's just the baseline. Teams need players who can contribute across the board, scoring, passing, defending, making big plays when it counts. Reese, at least for now, hasn't evolved into that kind of player. It's not just about grabbing rebounds. A deeper dive shows many of those boards are the result of her own missed shots. The efficiency just isn't there. Her offensive game is limited. Her defense isn't game-changing. She has a presence, but not the complete package. In a game against the Fever, without Caitlin Clark even on the floor, Reese had an opportunity to shine. Instead, she delivered a forgettable stat line. No clutch moments, no takeover, just another performance that fell flat. Compare her to players like Aaliyah Boston, who not only defends, but also delivers consistent scoring, or Kiki Ariafen, who averages real double-doubles and still shoots efficiently. These are the players fans are connecting with. These are the athletes fans are rewarding. Even players with less media coverage like Lexi Hull or Satu Sabali are outperforming Reese in fan engagement. That's not a coincidence. It's a reflection of who's making a difference night in and night out. Reese's branding campaign was aggressive. Her social media was filled with pleas for votes. And yet, the results didn't align. Sitting at 13th place, the gap between perception and reality couldn't be clearer. The fans aren't voting based on photo shoots, they're voting based on box scores. The game has changed. Today's WNBA fan is informed, passionate, and engaged. They know who's delivering, who's elevating their teams, and who's coming up short. The days of letting marketing dictate greatness are over. And if the goal is to grow the league, to bring in new viewers, build loyalty, and fill arenas, you need players who bring the full package. Charisma without contribution is a dead end. And that's where the divide between Reese's image and her impact has become undeniable. Reese is still young. She has time to round out her game, improve her efficiency, and become the player the media insists she already is. But she's not there yet. The numbers, the fans, and the league's direction make that clear. This isn't about tearing someone down, it's about setting a higher standard. It's about calling out the disconnect between exposure and excellence. And it's about recognizing who's really putting the WNBA on the map. Caitlin Clark didn't just show up. She took over. She leads not by self-proclamation, but by execution. Her three-point range, her poise under pressure, her game-winning plays, they've made her not just popular, but indispensable. In contrast, Reese's All-Star campaign was driven more by media momentum than merit, and fans, in their collective wisdom, rejected the hype. That's not to say Reese has no future in the league, but if she wants to truly lead, the development has to happen on the court, not in a photo studio. And this is the larger lesson for the league, the media, and future stars. You can't fake it. You can't manufacture greatness with a viral clip. You've got to show up, game after game, and let your performance do the talking. If the WNBA wants to keep rising, it needs to lean into players who deliver, not just those who market well. That's the message of this all-star vote. That's the verdict from the people who matter most, the fans. They've spoken. They've chosen substance over style. And they've reminded everyone watching that in this league, real impact always wins.